Welcome, Angry Faithful, this week on What the Hell, where we go over interesting news that's happened this week. Yeah, Bill's got a new mic headset. He's working with the cool stuff. Johnny,
he's got a good mustache going today.
Yes. Was it Sharpie or dye?
It was dye today.
Okay,
real dye.
real.
And I've gone to medium dark brown instead of.
Get you a the Detroit Tigers hat, man. You could probably pull off the pseudo Magnum PI thing. You just got to throw some contacts in there.
Yeah.
This is actually the official same brand, same company. He bought it from Orchid Shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Lily shirt, but my wife doesn't like it.
Big news starting out. Elon is out. That was our main title of this week. And we've actually spoke about this like a month ago, and now it's hitting the news because he's actually out. Elon is out. He's literally said, I'm going to stop doing government work for Doge and everything. But the thing about it is he is leaving, but Doge is staying. So,
well, he's got a space company and a car company to fix.
That was another thing is he's getting out because the car company is going down. They're actually selling the Tesla trucks for like $60,000 right now.
Oh, and Tesla, there was talk of the board was almost looking for another leader. So he kind of had to, but the Congress people I saw on X today were like, "Oh man, look, we put pressure on him. We got Elon. He had a 130-day limit.
Yeah,
that was up in a couple of days. They didn't do a damn thing, and they're like, "Whoa, we got to leave around."
Well, the problem with little dick energy and then Trump derangement syndrome is the fact that you'll take anything as a win. You really will, even if it's already in writing somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, we like I said, we talked about this like a month or so ago on one of the episodes, and we knew. We were like, hey, it's nothing to be surprised. But one thing that we were wondering about, and it was more clarified this week, was the fact that was Doge staying. The problem with that, though, is what the bill was, the big beautiful bill, and we covered this last week. It was actually in there that it was what I was afraid it was put into the bill that the Doge cuts weren't gonna happen and they were gonna go for tax cuts. It was basically a political deploy. So
the issue is a lot of what Doge did, you can't put in a reconciliation package. You can't. There's what's his name? Stephen. He's really great. Anyway, one of Trump's top people who come out all that. Stephen Miller. Oh well. Anyway, he went through a detail because everyone was griping about, the Doge cuts are in the Doge, and he said, "Look, here's why they're not. They're going to go in the rescission packages." And everyone's been saying, you could have been releasing rescission packages all along. And they haven't. They probably could have. But next week, they're supposed to release the first one.
Yeah.
And they're going to put them in rescission packages.
And Stephen Miller is the House Deputy Chief of Staff.
Yeah. Duh.
So in layman's terms, we're never going to get that $5,000 check from Doge, right?
No, I think we will eventually because Doge still exists. And not only does Doge itself still exist and is going to continue, but each cabinet already has ingrained a Doge itself in each cabinet. So they have kind of a small Doge that will continue that's built into the cabinet now.
Right.
Well, it's like the DOD with what? Man, I keep on messing up his name. Who's the DOD chief?
SecDef? Pete Hegseth?
Pete Hexess, yeah. Pete Hexess already said there's a lot of cut that Doge found out that he's allowed to do, and he has been.
Yeah, so I'm all for streamlining the government. I'm all for making it a little bit more, well, actually a lot more efficient. Yeah, the problem, see, everybody thinks, okay, job security, go work for the government, get you a public sector job. The problem is that the larger the government, the more bureaucratic it is, the easier it is for it to fail. Case in point, I mean, look at the old Soviet Union. I mean, they had government officials for basically everything. And while, yes, on the surface, the arms race bankrupted the Soviet Union and collapsed the Russian economy, but you look at all of those people, and right after the Cold War ended and the Soviet Union collapsed, look at the look at the unemployment rate in the Soviet Union. Well, the old Eastern Bloc, right? The old was it Warsaw Pact countries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were up around 50, almost 60% unemployment rates, specifically in Russia proper. It's because you had all these people that were working for the government. They had government jobs. They were somewhere woven into the fabric of the Communist Party, in the Politburo and, the like. But it wasn't until the private sector jobs and the capitalistic, ventures started popping up within Russia itself, where, people were starting to hire skilled trades. They were starting to hire the unskilled trades, people with soft skills, things like that, in order to make, like customer service, fronts and things of that nature. It wasn't until capitalism started creeping its way in, via Glasnost, that you started seeing the unemployment numbers drop. So, it's there was a lot of give and take as far as you know well, let me backtrack. The smaller the government, the better. Obviously, small but limited government. That was one of the things that Reagan talked about during his farewell speech, and that's one of the things that I think needs to be focused on and continue to be focused on as being a core element of the ethos of the United States. Because part of the reason why we are the land of opportunity, so to speak, is the fact that we allow the free markets to innovate. We allow the free markets to compete. And that's why things normally have been so affordable, at least here. And that's why people came, wanted and still want to come here. As far as immigration is concerned, they do it through the right channels, because they know that if they're here illegally, they're not going to get the funding to research their projects and prototype things like MRI machines. I know it's a whole thing, but yeah, I'm all for the shrinking of government, the cutbacks, and the unnecessary pork belly spending just needs to go out the window.
Bill, you have something to show us?
Oh yeah, and the person who had one of the best statements about that.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Yeah. I think you all know.
I will go. I will go to my grave continuing to say this, but I miss Ronald Reagan.
I kind of I was a little young through the Reagan years.
I was too, but in retrospect, you look back at the speeches. I mean, that's the whole point of the Reagan Foundation and the Reagan Library, is be able to go back and look at that stuff, and to be able to see how he did things, to be able to see how he governed, how he handled political opponents. And it wasn't through lawfare. I mean, it was just through communication. Yeah. It's like, here, I'm going to put out these points. I invite you to come and try and change my mind. I'll guarantee you that you're going to walk out feeling different.
Yeah.
And, it just, the things that he brought to the table, was he a perfect man? No, absolutely he wasn't. And I think that was the beautiful thing about it, is the fact that we knew that, he had come from kind of questionable, beginnings. I mean, he was a part of the Democrat Party for a long time in California. He was a part of the unions out there, and of course, the unions back in the 50s. There was rumored that they, the communists were making their way into the unions and things of that nature. But he set himself apart, despite all of the Hollywood, despite all of the glamour, and the fact that he came up from the state of California. I understand he's from Indiana originally, but the fact that he came out of California as not only their governor, but the president from California, and he led one of the largest, if not still the largest, periods of peacetime growth in American history. I mean, to me, that speaks volumes, and that needs to be the model that presidents need to model themselves after.
Every year I post online his Memorial Day speeches. And I highly recommend go to the Reagan Foundation and read listen to some of the speeches. They have them all online.
Yeah.
Next up is Pittsburgh U.S. Steel rally, increased steel tariffs to 50% union.
I'll go through that.
Okay.
That's just Cliff Notes.
Oh, okay.
I'll be right back.
A little while ago, Trump had, when he was elected, everyone said, and I think he even made a comment that, well, I'm going to really miss the rallies. The rallies never end. So he had a rally today in front of steelworkers in Pittsburgh. And, they got the Nippon Steel in Japan said, okay, we're going to invest in the Pittsburgh's U.S. Steel. We're going to invest it, keep it afloat, build it up, but the U.S. would still maintain control. They had been trying to basically merge with it or acquire it. Now, there's a lot of people out there going now that, it's against Trump's America first. He let the Japanese come in and take over. I had some people that I responded to on that. I'm a union person and I'm in Pittsburgh and I know. Look back in October, the unions in Pittsburgh were saying, oh my gosh, we have to get the Nippon Steel money or they were going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
So all the BS about, oh no, look, Trump's giving us away. No, but Trump during the campaign was against it. All the candidates were. They were against the original merger, the original takeover, but he reworked it with his trade deals so that we still maintain the ownership of it.
Yeah, because this is from the article and I can't believe I'm using it, but it is from the New York Times. Basically saying Napoleon Steel has maintained that is interest only into an acquisition that makes U.S. Steel a wholly owned subsidiary. The Japanese company has said it plans to share advanced steel making technologies with U.S. Steel and invest billions of dollars in the American manufacturing plants. In recent weeks, Napoleon Steel appears to reach a deal with the Trump administration that is structured in a way that meets its interest and that it's of the president's to maintain sufficient American control. And that's the New York Times.
And he announced that they're getting a $5,000 bonus.
Yeah.
So they were excited that that he was there. I mean, he saved the steel mill. No matter what the liberals are, he's giving us away, and they don't have a clue. They don't. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They really need to pull their head out and stop chumping on the corn.
Well, the problem with mainstream media, and the reason why we are trying to do a reporting style every Friday is the real fact that no one reports on a lot of the stuff. I mean, with all the peace deals that Trump has done so far, he should be getting a Nobel Peace Prize.
I should have last time just for the Abraham Accords.
Yeah, but they won't give it to him. And does he care? Probably. I don't know the man. But with all this stuff, I mean, even with first presidents to go into North Korea and put in a couple of deals, no other president has done that. I can see the grind in your brain, Bill. What are you getting at?
More of the tariffs and China.
Yeah,
and,
get to that.
And no matter what they say, and yeah, it got his goat. Trump is not a taco. What is taco?
I was wondering about that. I was looking at the stuff.
It's part of the negotiation style. You back off of the tariffs when someone says, "Okay, wait, I'll make a deal." You don't keep hammering the tariffs on them. You back off, give them the time, and go, "Okay, we're going to back off. Let's make a deal." You break the deal, they go back up. But just because he knocked him back down, now it came from the investment news, and then the liberals have spread it out, and now all over the internet, all the influencers are taco, taco, taco. Trump always chickens out. That's what they're saying about him reducing tariffs, like what he did with the EU. He had big tariffs. The EU came and said, "Oh no, we'll make a deal," and then he dropped them down and said, "Okay, I'll give you 90 days. I'll leave it at the drop down rate." That's a tactic. And yes, this insanity of the courts going after him and saying you can't do tariffs anymore. If he didn't have the ability to do tariffs, this administration's done. Because they don't care. The liberals don't care about the country. They want failure. And without the way he's doing tariffs, it's done. And yes, I attacked Rand Paul. Rand Paul came out and says, "Oh yeah, the courts did good." Yes, sorry. He came out and extolled the virtues of it, and I responded back, "Well, what the hell would you do?" They say, "Okay, Congress should make it." Well, just as an example I used, I think it was South Korea. They spent 9 years doing a trade deal. 9 years. So what happens if you just say, "I'm going to do a trade deal only with China"? Well, look what China was doing of their origin laundering, passing products off to other countries. What? Huh?
Go ahead.
They're passing products off to other countries. If you had done just a deal with China, they would find a way around it during that 10 years that you're trying to make a deal. That's why he had to deal with everyone. And now the Asian companies are like Malaysia came out a couple of weeks ago. We said, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Malaysian came out and said, "Okay, there is only one way for products to leave Malaysia. We have this form overseen by this group, this government organization." Otherwise, they had a dozen different ways to approve a form to get products out of Malaysia. So China was origin laundering, and Trump said, "Hey, China's origin laundering. You stop that, or I'm going to kill you with tariffs."
Well,
so if he wasn't doing it with all the countries at once, now Vietnam's doing the same thing. They're attacking origin laundering. You can't in this world, and they say, "Oh, it's not an emergency." Everything leads back to fentanyl. That's his emergency. everything trying to cut China off is fentanyl.
Yeah.
And they claim they've gotten rid of fentanyl or something. We don't send it out anymore. And he goes, the precursors, you're sending out the precursors to it. So that's what he is going after. Any trade deal. Think about fentanyl and China.
Well, one thing on that, Bill, is another thing that's been happening too is Tim Pool with Apple and Samsung. They're going to initiate a 25% tariff on any kind of cell phone because Tim Pool was putting stuff into India. He was going to make a plant in India, and Trump was like, "Hey, listen, we're going to do 20% tariff on any cell phone." Unless it's made in the USA, because they were supposed to have a plant here in Texas and other places in the United States, and it just looks like he's backing out of the deal.
Yeah, see, here's the problem that I see, especially when I guess the left went through the appeals court to reinstate the tariffs, right? Legislation from the bench. I never agreed with it. It's a blatant violation of the separation of powers. You know, and it what was it? Mark Levin used to call it, I don't know, he still does, legislation by fiat. So, you know, you get some kind of like radical judge who doesn't agree with the administration on an ideological level, and they just sign some motion or pass some motion or grant a motion that basically just contradicts anything that the party or, you know, that the president wanted.
Yeah, well, they're actually trying to basically stop it in the court systems through the districts, because they would have to go through that hurdle, even though they have no right to do it. But I have something on that, which is part of it.
News just in from the Supreme Court. This is a 7-2 ruling involving justices now allowing the Trump administration to revoke protected status for 500,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela while the appeals process plays out. Gary, fill us in.
Yeah, it was a 7-2 decision. That means that all the conservative justices and Justice Elena Kagan voted together on this case to allow President Trump to end these protections for more than 500,000 individuals from Cuba, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, and from Venezuela. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson and Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented in this opinion. They said, quote, "It undervalues the devastating consequences of allowing the government to precipitously upend the lives and livelihoods of nearly 500,000 non-citizens while their legal claims are pending." Now, this all become Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem had been seeking to end this Biden-era program that allowed these individuals from those four countries to live and to work in the U.S. for up to 2 years. And now it was that 2-year deadline that the Trump administration was unhappy with and was trying to move up and to get these folks out of the country. Now, in terms of what is going to happen next, these individuals are going to have to find another reason to be in this country, another legal reason to be in this country. That could come via a student visa. That could come via a different type of work visa. But it has to not be through this program, at least while appeals are underway. Now, this could, of course, change, right? Because the appeals court could reverse what the Supreme Court has said here, and then it could go back to the Supreme Court. But this all started where a Massachusetts U.S. district judge said these administration could not just sweep this away entirely without these individualized determinations. Now, the Trump administration argued you can't individually determine with 500,000 people in any sort of specific amount of time. It needs to be done faster. It needs to be done as a block. That's something the Supreme Court said, actually, you can.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm just drawing from the years of television legal system education that I've got, but isn't it to where the Supreme Court, when they rule on something, that's it?
Yeah, it is.
So why is it that they're going around and they're trying to go backwards? I don't understand that.
The Supreme Court can throw it back to the lower courts. They don't have to make a decision.
But they did.
Well, I'm just in general.
Yeah, I mean,
not
in
necessarily
general,
that
yeah.
case, but in general,
If
they
the
can.
Supreme Court
they can
wants
do
to kick
that.
the can back down the road, fine. But they made a decision here. I don't understand where the appeals are coming from and how they're legal.
Well, okay, this is it's becoming political, which the justice.
It's always been political.
Really, things are political. Things are political with this channel.
But it's a lot harsher because now we're actually able to see it. We've seen it many a times, barely through Obama's administration. We've seen it almost non-existent during Bush administration, unless you're paying attention to CNN, MSNBC. I don't even know MSNBC. How new is that?
MSLSD is not a credible source.
Okay,
it's about as credible of a source as the Drudge Report here lately.
Which is
I don't remember what it was, but the Drudge Report had its first first actually pro-Trump headline in probably a few years.
Yep. Or Fox News. Okay. Those are the only sources. And unless you were paying attention to those channels, and back in the day, no one paid attention to those channels.
What about those fine ladies on The View?
Jesus Christ, Bill, I swear.
Didn't Disney's CEO tell them to back off with the anti-Trump comments?
Yeah, I don't think they did.
I keep on seeing this thing that the Trump administration is suing The View for $800 million. I don't know if that's true or not.
You know, a number that big is nothing more than a ploy to allow the studio to do the right thing and cancel the show.
It sounds like they're trying to, with that number, I haven't seen that figure, but it sounds like they're trying to make some comparison about the $800 million lawsuit that Fox News lost. And there is something really good. I haven't watched the video on Sky News about that issue of The View and the CEO of Disney and stuff. So I'm going to watch that tonight and see what comments they have. Sky News is hilarious in Australia.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Mark Levin a little while ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the great one. Yeah.
Yesterday, he put out this post, or last night, I had found and bookmarked this post. The next massive political movement. If the Supreme Court does not stop what these lower courts are doing, and quickly, I am going to lead a movement to pressure Congress to remake the lower courts. It'll take time, but it must be done. And under our Constitution, we have every right as the people of this country to press our elected representatives to uphold the Constitution and give us our republic back. The lower courts are violating separation of powers, seizing authority they do not have, and have become populated with rogue lawyers, activists. The Constitution empowers we, the people, and through us, our representatives, to fix this. We helped launch the Convention of States movement here, and we will bring millions together to address this. Again, it won't happen overnight, but if this continues, this will happen. After all, it really isn't about our president. It's about our republic and our Constitution. So I'm sure his blood pressure was really up when he pounded the keys on that one.
I don't know what y'all guys are talking about. There's no reason why any kind of lawyer or judge would do anything to blockade some kind of precedence for someone to do their job or even be voted in as presidents. We don't have any precedents of that, do we? That's a legitimate.
I think it exists.
Are you sure?
But it doesn't matter. Piss on it, you know?
Yeah, he still became president. If
they cared about the Constitution, we shouldn't have Republicans just roll over and wet themselves and go, "Yeah, do what you want with me. Do what you want with me." We should have, in the beginning, in the first few weeks of Biden's administration, or whoever was doing the signing,
Anthony something.
yeah, we should have jumped on with lawsuits. But we're nice. We're nice. We're not going to do it. We should have. But I was screaming for the first few weeks. Read the executive orders. Read the executive orders. I was reading the executive orders. Even Fox wasn't putting the executive orders out. No one was paying attention to them. And I saw what he was doing with ingraining DEI in our entire system of government. I saw what he was doing with the immigration. And he opened up immigration with from till about the mid-February. That's the main executive orders that he put in some more later, but the main ones were the up to the mid-February. And then what you have to do is look at the bottom of the executive order. This executive order revokes this, revokes this. And it was all of the revokes getting rid of anything Trump had out that was good for the American people. And the executive orders he wrote, they should have been arrested, and we should have removed this administration because they were ignoring their constitutional duty to protect our borders. And you could have just based it on the first few weeks of executive orders. We should have had teams of courts and lawyers jumping on those, going,
Yeah,
look
but
what you're
the problem
doing.
is that when the DOJ at the time was in the back pocket of the Democrat Party, and they were actively and openly conducting lawfare against political opponents of the left, I pray and I hope that the Biden administration is going to be the closest thing that we will ever see to a true, and correct me, Bill, if I'm using this term wrong, oligarchy in the United States of America.
Yeah.
The oligarchy is there, but you've got people like Tom Steyer. People said, "Oh, Elon's an oligarch." An oligarch is someone who's going to be continuously putting money into politics, and their lifetime desire is control of people, like your George Soros, like your Tom Steyer.
So I wasn't off base. I didn't use it completely incorrectly.
Oh no.
Okay.
That's even though the Raging Cajun said, "Why is that? He's an oligarch. They shouldn't be using that word." And most of the people, if you go to the protests and you go, "Hey, yeah, to stop the oligarch," what is that? Bad rich person. Yeah, they're nuts.
And I love the whole eat the rich thing that the left is trying to put up there, even though that they are the ones that they're portraying as bad guys. It's I don't know about you two, and I don't know about anybody that stumbles across our happy little section of the universe. I've never had a poor person sign my paycheck. I mean, the only poor person that signed my paycheck is me, and that's when I took it to the bank to deposit it.
Yeah.
And they even talk about how Elon steals other people's ideas. Yeah, okay. 2 other people created Tesla, created the original Tesla. But if Elon hadn't have stepped in with his vision and his money, you'd never heard of those 2 people. So they have no concept. Liberals have no concept, or they have a concept and just want to lie about it, on how business actually works.
Yeah.
And they say even SpaceX. Well, no, he was actually studied rocketry in college, and very few people mention that. And yeah, he heard about this guy who was basically building large home rockets in the desert, and that's who he snagged to begin his rocketry at SpaceX.
Yeah.
If Elon hadn't have done that, that guy'd still be building hobby rockets. So, the oligarch, and Elon has no desire to keep in politics and to control people. So.
Yeah, I mean, and who I was talking about is Anthony Brennell, who was the first lady's senior advisor. And why does the first lady have a senior advisor? That's my thing.
First lady's got a whole staff.
But why? The first lady, they shouldn't have any kind. I honestly, I understand that some of the first ladies have like stuff they want to promote and everything. I mean, Trump's wife, what's her first name?
Melania.
Melania. Okay.
Melania.
Melania.
There we go. Good,
There we go.
good for you. Good.
She's actually promoting orphan kids that get aged out with homes and a step to go forward to better themselves. I get stuff like that when you're doing charitable stuff, which first ladies should do.
But she signed the Take It Down Act. That was to take down if you have like AI generated fakes that are sex type with young girls. I think is what it was all about. And she signed that, and the liberals are like, look, it's not valid because she's signing it. Trump didn't. She created the bill, and when they do stuff like that, sometimes first ladies will ceremoniously sign it, and basically it can be given out as mementos. But yes, Trump did sign it. It was a ceremonial thing where she signed it in front of everyone. I know the liberals have gone nuts over that.
Well, okay.
It's not valid. The auto pin is fine because they're using this. She's signing.
What it is on something like that is they're trying to get anything they can to stick to the wall. I mean,
and they can't.
If you don't boil the spaghetti noodles, they're not going to stick to the damn wall. You're just tossing for no apparent reason. Now, another thing that we put up here, Katie Hopkins. Who is that, Bill?
Oh, she's someone I followed. See, I follow the UK, Canada, China, Australia. I follow them closely, and one of the ones that I follow is Katie Hopkins. Her program is Batshit Bonkers Britain, and she was one of them during the campaign. She would wear a "Make America Great Again" hat. A lot of people in the UK were big Trump supporters, and she pushed that, and she was so thrilled when he won. And it's people around the world who look at Trump as a symbol their countries have gone to hell. They're a cesspool, and the freedom-loving people in those countries beneath the surface look at Trump as a symbol of America is pulling out of it because of him. We can too. So that's where you have the accent of back of Nigel in the UK. So he's bringing it up, but not a conservative. He's bringing it up as a reform party, but it's kind of going. And she made a statement that I had written down: when facts become hate speech, the truth becomes an arrestable offense. Because they're arresting people in the UK for you can share a meme and someone gets offended and you get arrested.
Yeah. It's
Thank God our group chat is locked down.
here's the thing. Okay.
Huh?
And I love. I cannot remember the name of the guy. But he's going to be running as a conservative for prime minister in their next election cycle over in England. And he's modeling his campaign after Trump's Make America Great Again campaign, because he's tired of seeing these neighborhoods being claimed, these historically English neighborhoods being claimed by Muslims, immigrants getting away with just everything under the sun. And the overall, how can I say this gently, the feminization of the Metropolitan Police Force.
I have not talked about female officers enough of how horrible. Donut operator sent a video.
Well, hold on. Time out real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Let me clarify that statement because I could almost see Bill clinch in his seat right there when I said feminization. We're talking about the softening of the metropolitan police force. The I don't want to say dumbing down because I mean there are intelligent individuals who work for the police department there, but it's police officers are not allowed to carry weapons. They, I mean, just the basic rights to due process. I mean, like they don't need a probable cause warrant to come in, enter your house. They just knock on your door and they can come in. And I'm like, okay. And all it takes is an allegation. They don't send anybody to say, hey, this is what was said. You know, what's your side of it? No, they come and they arrest you. You obtain an arrest record that is non-expungible.
Especially if you forget your TV tax.
I'm just like, it blows me away. You know, and then they brag because like, you know how like police departments and sheriff's departments around around our country, we'll talk about, they'll post drug busts and, you know, fentanyl busts and things like that, gun busts. And, you know, they'll post pictures of like stacks of money, or in the case of the Wichita County Sheriff's Department, like a couple of dollars in spare change and like a sandwich bag with like part of a pill in it. Oh, this is a big bus coming out of, you know, 44, whatever. So over there, they'll post like pocket knives. And we're talking like the Swiss Army variety. Like they went into a guy's home, for no other reason than somebody saw a sword next to his fireplace mantle through the living room window from the street. And they removed the sword from his home and charged him with unlawful possession.
Yeah. And Bill, yes, England has a TV tax.
England has a lot of additional taxes.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the VAT tax that applies to televisions?
I think so. But they'll actually physically go into a person's house and count how many TVs they have.
And, you know, if you have an electric vehicle, they will reimburse you for tires.
Yeah, don't care about that.
Tires cost you nothing over there.
Yeah, but what kind of tires are you getting though? I mean, you're obviously not getting the good tires that
Oh,
you need
yeah,
to
no,
grip
no,
those
no.
nice sloppy wet roads that just happen to be there all the time.
No, you actually are, because they've been pushing the EVs so much, but they're having a problem with it because they've spent so much money on it. Now they're having to try to back off of it, and people are too used to those the EV rebates. Just like I don't think Elon he wants to save money, but I don't know how thrilled he is that the $7,500 EV rebate is going to be going away. I didn't hear it, but I heard something about it, that he made a comment that's, you know, third party. I'd like to look for it, but evidently he made a comment about that or Tesla itself or their board members did, about how much they're going to lose when that $7,500 rebate goes away. Because it was originally a tax rebate, and then it turned into we're actually giving people $7,500.
Jesus.
What kills me about EVs just in general is it's great. The idea, it's great from a romantical, you know, standpoint of, you know, you're offsetting your carbon footprint. But the carbon footprint that you create by the manufacturer of that car, and then after, I think it's like 5 years or something like that, or 10,000 charges, you have to replace that battery. And that battery is 2/3 the price of the car and not covered under warranty. So, and as soon as you do that, you're starting back over at square one, because the environmental impact that is required to produce those batteries. It blows my mind.
What's really messed up is I've always wondered this, okay? Because it being electric car, but Tesla has something called a car wash mode. So if you have to press the car wash mode so you can get it go through a car wash.
Yeah, otherwise your car will catch fire.
And if you're going to drive it like a race car, if you're going to drive it like through the mountains or a racetrack, you better deactivate its auto lock on its parking brake.
Oh yeah,
or you're going to fry your rotors. You got to remember to I've watched people here we're putting it through its paces, but and it has this mileage, but if you drive it like I would through the Smoky Mountains, that can cut that down to like a third of the listed mileage of the vehicle.
but it also can stop a car bomb though.
Well,
you know what I love is
a Cybertruck. I'd hate to do that with a Model 3.
I love all these stop oil protesters. They stop. They lay down in the middle of a busy highway and stuff like that. The high vis vests that they're wearing, they're made with petroleum products. The shoes that they're wearing, made with petroleum products. I mean,
Johnny, quit using logic. Jesus.
And a Tesla does have oil.
Yeah.
And if you have to do an oil change with where the Tesla is, they got to practically take it apart to get to it. It's an expensive oil. Sure, okay, it may not be as frequent as a standard vehicle, but if a leak does occur, you're screwed.
I saw a picture. It was a couple of years ago, back when the Chevy Volt was like being pushed real hard.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, he it was great. All right, so he mounted from the rear fender an alternator with a belt attached to the rear wheel, right, or to the rear hub, right. The car was constantly recharging itself because he wired the alternator that he had rigged up on the outside of the car to plug into the charging port. So as he's driving, it's continuously recharging itself.
Would that actually work though?
Well, some vehicles,
GM stepped in and took the car back from him.
that does work with some vehicles. Some vehicles can charge while moving, not all of them. I was driving down through the Metroplex, down on 183, I think, and it was really, really busy. So there's 4 lanes of wall to wall. If it wasn't, I really wanted to take my phone and take a picture of something. There was a cargo van went by, and he had, the little where you can have in your hitch a little platform you stick in your hitch.
Yeah.
He had a generator on that,
yeah,
and the wire going around plugged into the vehicle while he was going down the road.
Yeah.
It baffles me though that it actually work.
Well, I mean, it's not the prettiest looking thing, but shade tree mechanicking, it's a beautiful thing, man. It really is. I mean, the results look clunky as shit, and they're not what's the word I'm looking for? Streamlined.
and it won't work with all of them. I don't think it'd work with Tesla. Now, I have been completely...
No, if Tesla finds out that if you've tampered with the charging system, they will remotely ban your car from their supercharging stations out on the highway.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, because there's another company out there called Falcon, I think, that offers offers some supercharging stations out there on the highways and byways. And if Tesla sees that you've plugged into one of them, you get a notification on your dash, on your display screen. Supercharging privileges are revoked. Yeah, it'd be like that, dude.
It has
Yeah,
to be a Tesla.
the technology, unless he rehired some of them last year, I think it was last year or late the year before, laid off his entire charger development team. The only people they kept are people who would work on upkeep of the currently installed units. That was when Biden came out and said, okay, we're going to pay for charging units. He was like, okay, good. We don't have to mess with paying for the support, paying for building new units. And that's when you came out with Buc-ee's that has superchargers, that has charging units. I don't think they're superchargers. But then if you look on the other side of the parking lot, you have Mercedes-Benz chargers, because Mercedes has partnered with Buc-ee's now. So any of the new Buc-ee's, they're not getting the Tesla chargers, they're getting Mercedes chargers.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple of years ago when I was looking, because I was wasting a lot of time in these groups, these Facebook groups that are EV versus internal combustion engine groups, and they were talking about how great they are. And I says, look, the state of Oklahoma has 8 supercharging locations in the entire state. As much driving as we do to casinos, we would be running out of juice all over the place, because even their regular chargers were far and between. And when you look at people doing ratings on that, well, I pulled up to that charger and 3 out of 5 of them were broke. So
it's because people vandalize them like crazy.
Well, this was before this isn't the vandals where they cut into them. This was just, they were malfunctioning. Outside of the actual vandalizing, and then some of the cost of them. Although I don't know, I'm leaning a little bit toward kind of liking the idea. Not Tesla, because I think they're boring as hell. It's just yards of plastic and a big iPad in the middle. I don't go for that, but there is a chance that my wife could possibly end up driving a long distance to work. I won't go into that, but I'm going, that's a long way, and maybe we should look into an electric vehicle.
Well, depending on how gas prices can go. Now, is there anything that we need to talk about before we end the show?
A couple of small things.
You got like 7 minutes.
Okay, you got to watch out with X. The algorithm over the weekend was just totally effed. I went through and it was disgusting. I would get like one conservative per about 19 of your top liberal influencers, politicians. So somehow they had manipulated the algorithm. And it was absolutely disgusting. It was just hate after hate after hate after hate. So kind of got to watch out for that. And sometimes you can manipulate the algorithm, stop posting to them. Okay, stop replying. That still wasn't working. I was liking and bookmarking every conservative post that I saw come up. Still didn't work. And you saw other comments from conservatives mentioning it too. And I think that lasted till maybe Monday or Tuesday. So at least 3 or 4 days, the algorithm on X was totally screwed for conservatives. And people are like, oh, yeah, no, we don't do that kind of thing. Well, no, you've done that thing ever since the Tea Party, when you did flag spam campaigns against people to get their accounts deleted.
Yeah.
And had one other thing on Grok. It's the lesson of the week from Wild William on Grok. I have to do a sleep study, and it's a special sleep study that isn't just an overnight for a CPAP or BiPAP sleep study. It's you've got to do it and then stay part of the day afterwards and they read you taking a nap and doing other things. In Wichita Falls, there is no doctor who can do that. There's no clinic who can do that second part. They have quit. So I have 2 tests that need to be done that the doctors have quit. The people in the clinic have quit, and they can't be done in Wichita Falls. So what do? The Metroplex. Okay, I can sit down and, okay, I was about to go, okay, where else in the Metroplex does sleep study? Okay, is it on, do they have Aetna? What are the reviews and stuff? And it would have taken me a day, right?
Mhm.
To go through the details of it. So this is what you can do. I need to take a 2-part sleep study test, a polysomnography code CPT 95810, and a multiple sleep latency test, MSLT code CPT 95805. Always give him as much detail as you can. My city doesn't have a doctor who can do it. They quit. Can you find a doctor or clinic in the Frisco, Plano, North Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex area that does the test? I have Aetna. They need to accept Aetna. Can you also compare the cost and maybe find comments or reviews on the different people in clinics? So in 5 seconds, I got a list of this clinic, Baylor Scott and White Medical Center, location. They do this. They take Aetna. Here's a cost estimate. Here's reviews and comments that people have made about it. And then he went through and listed several, and then came up with the summary, his recommendation of here's the one I would recommend doing first, and here's why, and here's a close second why. So if you start to get to actually using Grok for something other than funky little pictures, having it draw, things like a dog pulling a sleigh in a Santa suit over Mar-a-Lago, not that I've had to do something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things I noticed is cost estimate. It came out, he couldn't pull out the actual cost estimate. Right before Biden was inaugurated, Trump had put out an executive order that would have required, and he was going to try to codify it, and Democrats would have probably gone on with it, that would require clinics to post the fees for all services. Publicly post. But Biden, that was one of his first days, revoke.
All right. So real quick tip. All right. Coming from somebody who used to work for Blue Cross Blue Shield, you want to look at, there's a lot of different factors that go into billed charges versus allowed amounts for in-network providers. Say, for example, like CT scans, MRIs. Go to a third-party imaging center that's in network for your provider or for your network, because their overhead's going to be a lot lower. They tend to lease or rent their machines, so they don't have to charge for upkeep because that's taken care of as part of the lease. They turn out the lights at 5 o'clock, roll up the sidewalks, and somebody puts the dog out in the back, right? Hospitals, they're open 24 hours a day. They own their machines, and you're paying everybody's salary. So that's why a facility claim is going to run you a lot higher than a third party claim for a networking like imaging center or sleep study center that's not owned by a hospital, because and that's another thing to look for is, like Baylor Scott and White, they've got their fingers in just about every basket out there in DFW. So if you go to a third party imaging center and they're in network, you might want to find out if they're owned by a larger hospital network, because if they are, there is a likelihood that they will bill as a facility claim. So that's why, another reason why cost estimation went out the window, because hospitals realized that they were losing money to these third party people and started buying them up. So everything really kind of just leveled itself out, and it damn near approached that fine little line of monopolistic practices. So yeah, that's another That's another little hot tip for you there.
Now, you did remind me of something that I need to look for. And this happened. I've had a sleep study. My wife's had a sleep study. And I've had two. And you've got to watch out. The clinic does a sleep study. Then they send it out to a neurologist to read it.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the doctor. And on when I go to, and you just reminded me, thankfully you reminded me because I was going to forget to check into that. The first time I did it, the reading went out to a doctor that was out of network.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a bill for him. So the next time I did a sleep study, the sleep study doctor, I said, hey, who are you going to send it out to read it? And he told me, and I said, no, who else can you send it to? So I made sure that he sent it to an in-network neurologist.
And a lot of those, like if you go in for a surgical procedure or anything like that, and you got the anesthesiologist, the anesthesiologist needs to be in network, obviously. But something else to kind of keep a lookout for is their anesthesiologist assistant or a surgical assistant helping the surgeon out. They may be an intern, right? That's they're just observing a surgery before they're turned loose to to do a solo or anything like that. Those assistants, those anesthetician assistants, those surgical assistants, they are not contracting with anybody, and they will file a claim for the same number of minutes as the actual performing provider. And they can bill you for everything over the allowed amount because they're considered out of network. So that's something else that you can request too, is that when you go in for these procedures, you actually, as a patient, have the ability to go, I do not want anybody in that operating room touching me, having anything to do with me at all that is not contracting with my insurance. You have that ability. So that's a little cost saving tip for a lot of for everybody out there.
So when you're admitted, you can just request that to the admissions.
Yeah. Because it is that's a big thing that they do not tell you about. And that was one thing that I found out whenever we would have to make adjustments on claims or process claims. You see a lot of these like high dollar claims, and it's for the same procedure, same data service, the whole 9 yards. And they would go in there, and it would be, that all they did was sit back in a chair and watch. That's all they did. They didn't physically do anything. They were just in the room, and now you're paying for their time.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was some of the most dirty, underhanded crap that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all about helping people try to pay off their student loans, but good God, do it honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, interns, they're paid by the hospital. They're on payroll for the hospital. You're there in a learning capacity. You haven't even taken your boards yet. So you're not officially a doctor, right? Or one that's at least licensed by the state that you're practicing in. But just stay away from the billing departments, for crying out loud. And hospitals continue to let that happen too. And it's, and if you don't pay on it, a hospital, all they do is just write it off on their taxes. So, it doesn't matter to them. They'll just, the clerks in the billing departments, they look at a piece of paper. They're just data entry people, pure, plain and simple. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. If you're going in for a procedure of any kind that's considered invasive by any stretch of the imagination, anything from being intubated to something as simple as aspirating a joint, anybody and everybody that's in that operating room, or anybody that will have anything to do with that procedure, that will physically be in that room or have any hand on you, you can request that they not be there unless they're contracting with your insurance.
All right.
Excellent medical tip.
Thank you. Now, in the show, we got 2 viewers. Thank you all for watching, keeping up with us.
And if you like the program, and I think you should, because we're three really great guys, you should like and subscribe to see us every week. Don't miss an episode.
Don't forget to hit that notification bell.
Nothing comes across more disingenuous than when somebody says, "We're really great guys. You need to give us a chance."
Yeah.
That's shady as hell, Bill.
I've so many women from that.
Learning experience. And I wish I knew where to point to the, a lot of people point to the like button and the notification. It's down.
So like, subscribe down here. Okay. Hit the little bell notification. So that way, when it comes up
Ding, ding, ding.
anytime, don't mute us, but you can get notified anytime we're getting ready to go live. It's usually a 30-minute prior, notifications. That gives you plenty of time to get, shower, and shave and take care of everything that you could possibly need.
Or just put it on your phone.
Before you sit down and get comfortable and have your soul eviscerated in one form or fashion. So yeah.
Or don't lose a minute of us. Just take and put it on your cell phone, and while you're walking around doing laundry, set it next to the washer and keep watching us. And you go in the bathroom, sit down, keep watching us.
I don't know, man.
So you don't want to miss a minute. You don't want to miss
Bill,
a minute.
with
No
Bill
telling
right in the
what
middle of
happens.
this little sandwich here. If he's talking about putting us on a washer, it's the people watching him that are getting on the washer. I'm just saying. I mean, that mustache, the shirt, bro.
Hey, I've dyed the mustache.
The only thing that he needs is the underpowered red Ferrari.
There you go. But thank you all.
I'd actually rather have a gold Testarossa. But anyway.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Johnny Skelton.
I'm Wild William.
Check us out next time, next Friday. Love you guys. Later.
Sesame Timbers, everybody.